Welcome to the latest edition of What I Crush, and I'm pretty pumped about our guest here today. I have Ken Pozek of the Pozek Group, and he is in Orlando, Florida, and this dude crushes video like no one I've ever seen before in the game of real estate, and I'm pretty excited about the things that he's going to share with you. So, Ken, why don't you take a minute just real quick and introduce yourself, and we'll get this thing rolling.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm Ken Pozek from Orlando, Florida. Been in the business for 17 years, but I've only lived in Florida for 4 years now. This will be my 5th year at this year. And last year, grew up a team, and a lot of our business came from agent referrals, video, a lot of video focused kind of stuff. We finished the year out at 193 sides, 73 million. And this year, goal is 110 million, and we're so far on track. So good.
Yeah, you were sharing with me this morning that you guys year to date are at 109 closed and pended with 43 million for 2021, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. So we're in for a real treat. So Ken, the first question I have is, why have you gone so all in on video?
I think when I first moved here, I was looking at like, what are the options for me? It's going to be like Zillow, pay-per-click, Boomtown, like, Boomtown via pay-per-click or whatever. What is it that I'm going to do to like pull my lead gen lever here? And I knew like agent referrals was one thing that I wanted to build, but then like I needed something else. And then like if I go all in with Zillow or I go on with any of these other companies, I'm beholden to them forever. And so I stopped spending with them. I stopped getting leads. And so I was like, what else can I do? And so I thought, personal branding's great, but I don't have the budget for billboards, TV, on and on and on and on. What else could I do? Well, like online video, I could do that. And so I started building this YouTube channel. And, over the past 3 years, it's gone from, 0 to 10,000 subscribers and now represents more than a third of our business. And so for me, it was like, building an asset that I can count on business showing up, whether I do or not.
Okay. So the main thing is that you wanted to build an asset outside of the third party aggregates via, Zillow, realtor.com, whatever, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So 10,000 followers on YouTube. And what percentage of your business is coming from video?
It's just over a third of our business comes directly from people that are like, we found you online, and that's why we're reaching out to buy or sell.
Got it. Okay. Got it. And so that building the asset, what were the other things that caused you to go so far into video? Like, why else?
So then what I realized is that it was much more multifaceted than just building a YouTube channel and people reaching out. It was like, it plays really well with like I was always a database guy when I lived in Michigan, and we built like a $40 million team there. And like, I always felt weird though, sending out like what the mortgage rates are doing and what the interest rates are, whatever, just like going on in real estate, like the shit that nobody cares about. Am I allowed to swear on this? Sorry. All right, cool. So, what else can I send them that they'd actually care about? Like, what if I could send them stuff that they would want to read and open between that 7 years of them buying and selling with me, right? And so we started thinking about our database program, creating content that our database would care to see. And so that's kind of like between that and agent referrals and our video YouTube stuff that represents like right there, those three are like 85% of our business. And so video plays really well into all three channels. And so the more I get into it, the more I'm excited to just continue to build it and the more results we're getting.
Okay, so when you say that it plays well into all these channels, what exactly do you mean by that?
So like for us, we do 2 different kinds of videos. We've got like 2 different buckets that we produce for. One is like lead gen. Hey, you're moving to Orlando, watch this video. Very SEO friendly kind of videos that if people go on Google and they're looking for our local towns, I'm going to show up. But then once you move here, what else is there? So then there's more entertainment stuff. It's like, we just shot the 7 most Instagrammable places in Orlando, and we did a tour of Shaq's house, and we're going to do like the top 5 places at Disney, my top 3 roller coasters, like whatever it is, right? Trying to get people engaged more about like life in Orlando, even though they've not looking to buy or sell at all, maybe for the next 5 to 10 years, but we stay in front of them, we become referable, we become like likable, and obviously stay top of mind that way.
Okay, so back up. So basically the two buckets, right? So one bucket is for people who are considering moving to Orlando. And then
Mhm.
the other bucket, it sounds like, is much more of like living in Orlando or entertainment in Orlando, right?
Yep.
Okay. How did you come up with those two? Was it just magic? Is that how that ended up, or what was the process there?
No, I think it's interesting. So I think that like I started doing business interviews a little bit, and I realized that really the only people that were clicking on them were from our newsletter. And so like, because if you're like saying you're moving to Orlando, and you know, do you care about the coffee shops that are here? Probably not yet, right? Like what you're looking at, where should I move? Where are the best schools? Where are the best builders? Where can I find a house right now? And so just kind of like looking at who our two audiences were, I said, how do I build one brand, but then speak to two different audiences? And so by doing this, we keep people from unsubscribing to our stuff and stay relevant with them. And so that's really what it is. To me, it's just like looking at who's my end user, how do I stay relevant in their life? And then we build the brand around that.
Okay, got it. And is there a rhythm between the two? Like, do you do one and one, like one moving to Orlando and one living in Orlando?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's almost every other time I post, it's one has to do about relocating or real estate related something in Orlando, and then the next one's kind of entertainment.
Got it. Okay. So on the living in or moving to Orlando one, how do you choose the topics that you're ultimately going to talk about on those videos?
So I do a lot of keyword research, and so you know, if you want to take the free route, you can just literally go to google.com and start typing in your city, start playing around with the key phrases like moving to Dallas, living in Dallas. And then Google's going to complete that keyword based on what everybody else is searching on, right? You start typing in like buying a new computer, and then all of a sudden there's like 5 or 6 different options that Google gives you. They do that not because Google's like, I mean, they're super smart, but like that's based on everybody else's search traffic, right? And so I can shoot videos around that. And so it was like moving to Orlando, and then like there'd be 3 or 4 words after it, moving to whatever it is. And so I can basically come up with 30 or 40 different videos into the future based on what people are already searching. And so knowing like that YouTube is actually a search engine. Like, yes, it's a social media platform, but it's the #2 search engine in the world. It's also owned by Google. And so if you want to learn how to play YouTube's game, then you play on Google. And so that's how I focus on figuring out what people are actually searching for, so I show up in their results.
Okay. And then that's got to play right into the SEO, right? Of you post that on your YouTube channel, people are searching, and so
Yep.
it's all connected. What I want everybody to hear is that you're not just haphazardly coming up with video topics, that you thoughtfully consider this, right?
Correct.
And do
Yeah.
you same thing with living in Orlando? Like, do you just use those like similar keywords and see what pops up?
Yeah. And like Google, even like YouTube will start teaching you as well. Like when you post like a say a moving to Austin, then underneath it's going to have a bunch of tags. Like once you go to YouTube, it's going to say like, well, hey, if you're doing moving to Austin, here's 20 other tags that people are also searching for. And that can also give you ideas for topics in the future. So maybe it's new construction in Austin, places to live in Austin. And then you're just kind of like playing off that kind of over and over, sort of different ways, different, you know, trying to hit the analyticals, trying to hit, you know, why I love living here is very different than the top 5 reasons, right? And so like for us, we're also trying to put out based on different personality types so that we're hitting a really broad audience wherever people are. And then getting really like the more you do, like, because this can become a really kind of like a science of like, the more you do, the more results you're going to want to get. And so figuring out like the best thumbnails to use, the best titles to use, the best descriptions to use, all takes a little bit of time. But I would say like there's a guru that I follow. He's not a real estate guy at all, but he's just a YouTube guy. His name is Daryl Eves, and he teaches like everything from like the psychology of like when you create a thumbnail, which is the picture people click on to go to your video, the ones that like you can see the whites in someone's eyes actually perform better than you standing back in front of a house. You know, like all of those little things I geek out on. you don't have to be super, super nerdy about it, but if you want better results, it does become something that you want to put some time into.
Got it. Got it. And, Ken, what would you say, like, when you're putting together these videos, is there a certain like list of ingredients, like every video should include these three things? Is that something that you take into consideration, or?
Yeah, so I think, well, one thing it shouldn't include, let me start there, is like you starting the video out, and this is how I started my videos. So I'm speaking about me, and then I'll tell you how it went better. But it's just like starting the video out thinking that it's all about you, because it's not. It's about the viewer. And so like I would start every video before, it would be like, hey, this is Ken Pozek. I'm a real estate agent here in Orlando, Florida, and I'm passionate about Orlando because X, Y, and Z. And if you want to buy or sell a house, I want to be your agent. Now let's get into the video. Well, 40% of the people fell off in those first 10 seconds because you didn't deliver on the promise of what the title and the thumbnail were. And so I don't even talk about that I'm a real estate agent until the very end, once I've like earned their view. And so for them at the end, it's like, listen, if you got any value out of this, I want to be your real estate resource of choice here in Orlando. My number is Bob, my email is Bob. And by the way, we're putting out new videos every single week. So hit that subscribe button. And that's the way we structure it. And so for us, it's going to be providing value up front, then go for the hook, and then make sure through that you're asking them for them to subscribe are like three things that I would say in every video.
Got it. Got it. So the whole big grand introduction of I'm Ken with Keller Williams in Orlando, or the Pozek Group in Orlando, stay away from all that.
Yeah, wait till the end.
Yeah. Otherwise you are kind of just like clickbait, right? Like you have a title, but then you don't deliver on it. So
Correct,
that makes, yeah. I love that. Okay. So you're repurposing this. How do you use video to communicate with your database? Like we talked a little bit about people relocating to Orlando, and you mentioned the last time I talked to you that you guys have a pretty comprehensive touch campaign to your database. How does this show up there?
So like if everybody from, if they came in our website 2 years ago as like just browsing for homes and I've never met them before, all the way to we just closed your house, a year ago, you bought with us, whatever. Everybody gets the same email. And it's basically a recap of the video content that we've shot over the past week. And so it's the entertainment first at the top of the video. And then my marketing manager goes through like the top rated restaurants of the week and why, the top coffee shops and why. And then way down at the bottom of the email, it's like, by the way, we have buyers that can't find houses. And so if you've thought about selling off market and you want to save time and money, here's how we can do that for you. Make sure you reach out. And so the newsletter is like all things, we call it all things theme parks, life in Orlando, and real estate. And so that's what the whole newsletter is about. So we've got about 11,000 people on that newsletter now, and we get about a 22% open rate. So it's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's really solid. Wow. Okay, awesome. So Ken, what would you tell somebody that is just starting out, or maybe they just struggle with video, right? They're not comfortable being in front of the camera.
I think, we've all been there before. I was not always super comfortable when the green light turns on or the red light turns on. I'd clam up and I couldn't get my words out. But I would say just doing it more. Like we've all been to the place where like, you did your first open house and you were nervous inside, and like, you're like, people are going to come in and like, you're going to just all over yourself. You're like, what the heck just happened? Or, you've always been there, something like you're called expireds and you sounded like a total jackass on the phone and you're like, oh, I'm never going to do this again. I think a lot of people get that way with video. And the cool thing is like, the more you do, the better you get. And so I would say start off with like Facebook Live, Instagram Live, just getting live and just being like, show off a house that they're touring. Hey, listen, I just want to for 30 seconds, want to show you how awesome this house is. It's got this amazing pool. Look at this rock wall. It's like really easy. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you are creating content. And then the other thing I would say is like, just getting in front of your phone and like, you're shooting content, you can always erase it and start over again. And so, but again, the more you do, the better you'll get. And I promise you, it's going to be way better than just like throwing a post online of a pretty picture that people just scroll right past.
Right. And so when you're talking to somebody who's looking to, authenticity is important in this game, right? And
Yep.
That's something that you've alluded to that I think drives your viewership or your audience. So Why is it important to be authentic in this realm or this world of video?
I think, because so much video is consumed and so many people are online, it's very easy to sniff out the guy who's being, or gal that's being disingenuous and or scripted. And so I think that authenticity sells super well. And so like making fun of yourself when you're on these Facebook lives or Instagram lives is okay. Like if you look at how many people, like how many bloopers we actually leave in our videos now, where like I'm like, and I cuss way too much, but like my videographer will bleep it out now and stuff, just as a funny, like Ken doesn't knock this out of the park every time, like we all still mess up. And so it's amazing how many people will then say like, I love how you leave the bloopers in, that's so cool. And so like I think that it really plays well, at least for my personality, and I think for the majority of the people out there. So one tip I would give you is like, you don't need to script every video that you do. Just come up with 3 or 4 different bullet points that you want to accomplish in this video and how you're going to take the buyer or seller on, the journey from point A to point B. That's way easier than trying to like read off of a teleprompter.
Yeah, and it's always interesting because I don't know if I can always tell, but it feels like I can when somebody's just reading the script, their eyes aren't quite on the camera. And I feel like I can always tell when they've, like they're looking off to the center, and then it's just, this is you reading, it's not you actually engaging in a conversation. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sweet. So Ken, what's been the biggest challenge with all of this? I mean, you've got tons of content, 10,000 YouTube followers. Like, where is this harder than you thought it was going to be, or where do you think people will encounter challenges down the road?
I think it's staying consistent, shooting consistently and then following through when you get no views. And so if you look at my first, 100 videos that I shot in the first year, I was doing like 2 a week the first year, like crazy. And I was shooting it myself, editing it myself, uploading at night, just kind of grinding it out the way we do. And I think that's where most people get caught up, is that they start and stop. And so just like anything, Jordan, I'm sure you've coached enough agents to know. I mean, like there's, you start farming. I sent out 4 postcards and I didn't get any calls. Okay, well, that's probably because you need to stay more consistent over time, right? I called a bunch of expireds. I set no appointments. Like, again, any of this stuff is just consistency. And so I think that's where most people get caught up. And so for me, it was, again, I didn't get any leads for the first like 4 months, and I still was uploading 2 a week, like clockwork. And then all of a sudden it became like 1 lead a week and then 2 leads a week. Now it's like 8 to 10 leads a day. And so, yeah, I just got to stick with it.
Okay, so if I'm just starting this off, Ken, is that kind of the rhythm that you would encourage me to focus on, is 2 videos a week? Is that how you would coach me to do that?
I was putting up 2 mediocre videos a week, and I would say if you could focus on 1 solid video a week, that's like the minimum. And so because you're also teaching YouTube that you're serious at this, and so like it's very, very smart. And so like if you're uploading consistently at the same time every week, you're engaging with the people who come back, people are subscribing, people are watching the entire video, or like, a good amount of the video, all of that stuff's really important. And so I would do at least 1 good content quality video a week and start there.
Okay, got it. And then it sounds to me like, just expect to do 100 before you really get anything in return. If we all just kind of went into this with that level of expectation, then we would stay at it long enough to actually reap the rewards like you have. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Ken, what about, like now, how do you do you still edit all of your own videos and shoot all your own videos?
No, not at all. So I did lead with revenue though. So like it was literally like my first 140 videos were me and a cell phone with a DJI gimbal, right? So it didn't like, the phone wasn't all like, wow, while I was walking through a house. And no mic, no anything fancy. It was just literally that, me talking into my phone, walking through. And then the second thing I did was just like my real estate team, like just started hiring out what I was bad at. I hired a video editor next. And so I was still shooting it, but then I was uploading it online, paying somebody $70 to edit it, chop it up. Now I'm buying my time back. they would upload it to YouTube. And then now all I'm doing is like the thumbnail, title, that kind of thing. Then we started getting more and more traction, started closing a bunch more. And then now I've got a videographer who's essentially on staff. And so we put out 2 pieces of content, long form content every week. And then I also do a YouTube live every other Saturday.
Got it. Okay. So start off, don't break the bank. Start with what you have. Be consistent, be authentic, right? Use the keywords. Okay. Any other tools or tips, things that you used in the beginning, Ken, that would be helpful to anyone that wants to walk the similar path?
I mean, I think it's just going in, figuring out what other people are doing in your market, and in other markets even. I mean, that would be huge. Kind of doing guerrilla warfare that way, just figuring out what's working based on how many, likes and comments and views that other people are doing. And then you start there. And then, again, I think free is the way to go until you start closing some deals or at least getting some leads before you invest in it. But there's a tool called Keywords Everywhere. And so like you can use it as a keyword tool to help you create better videos, because based on search patterns, it'll tell you how frequently things are being searched. That's a good one because, the name of the game is eyeballs. And then I use PicMonkey, PIC monkey.com for my thumbnails. It's just a really easy drag and drop, make amazing thumbnails. They've got templates there. You can click on like, I'm creating a YouTube thumbnail, and it'll size it for you the perfect way. So those are 3 tools I would use.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. And how do you, pick which, I know YouTube obviously is important, but are there other platforms? Like, should I be on TikTok or should I stay to YouTube? Like, how do you pick the platforms that you would suggest that people use here?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think like TikTok, Snapchat, all of those things are okay. Facebook's okay, but they're not searchable. Like if you click on a hashtag, maybe you find it. But like think about it, like Jordan, if you're relocating to Seattle, you probably jump online and do some research. Where would be your first place to go?
Google.
Google. And so, are you going to be jumping on Snapchat to figure out more about Austin?
I don't
Seattle or whatever
on Snapchat. Ken, was
well,
that
okay.
did you just crack an old joke in front of all these people?
You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't go on one of these like video messenger kind of apps. And so for me, I think you got to be on YouTube first. And then like, I'm also on Instagram because that's where like I live my life in front of like the stories section of Instagram, and I build my brand there. But my lead gen doesn't come from there. It comes from YouTube. And so what I've done now is I've built this YouTube following, and then now we started adding in every other video. I ask them to subscribe. And in the other video, I say, hey, follow me on Instagram for like daily insights into life in Orlando. And so I've started growing that, a couple thousand followers over the past 6 months. And so I'm there. But I think that would not have happened if I haven't started at YouTube.
Okay, got it. And then what about like length to video? Is that something that you consider, or is that part of your equation, how long the videos are?
That's a really good question. So I think that so YouTube also rewards you the longer you can keep people on the platform. So if you can keep someone's attention for 20 minutes, shoot a 20-minute video. It's not like TikTok where it's like 15 seconds and you're gone. Like YouTube was really like great for like boomers, Xers, and like older millennials. And so like for us, we're going there to search out information and hopefully get those questions answered. And so if you can be like engaging for 20 minutes, great. Most people can't. And so we found that somewhere around the 7-minute mark is where we're trying to keep our videos, because I'm massively ADD. And so for me, like to shoot a video that's any longer is tough. But I'll tell you, like I do Saturday lives where I go live with my subscribers on Facebook. It's just like this. And I got a mic and the lighting's a little bit better. But other than that, we do Facebook lives for an hour, and all I do is answer questions. And I get 100, 200 people to show up live every other Saturday just to talk about Orlando. And so they stick around really long. But I would say that the searchable stuff, use the analytics that Google gives you via YouTube, and figure out when are your people starting to like fall off. And then you're going to start honing in on like, how can I keep that audience retention better by either shooting video better, editing video better, being more punchy or more long-winded, whatever that is. And you'll kind of start feeling it out over the time of where your perfect video is.
Got it. Okay. And then we had a question come in. Where can people find an affordable video editor? Is that like Fiverr, or where would you suggest that they go if they're looking for that?
Yeah, like Upwork is a really good one. I know Fiverr has a bunch of editors on there, but I used Upwork when I first was looking for one, and they're like editors from all over the world. And basically, you just want to see like, show me some of the stuff. Like two things that I would do is like, show me some of the stuff you've recently edited, and then also like send them some videos that you like and say, hey, how much would it be to edit something like this? And then let's do a 3-video test run to see if we work well together. And I think that's some good advice up front.
Got it. Perfect. All right, Ken. So I think we've covered a lot here. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have? Anything we haven't covered that's imperative people know about video?
I would think that like the other pieces, like the keywords, are really important. And so like when you first get started, like, like if I was to do a video on just Orlando, Florida, how well am I going to rank? Probably not really well. And in search traffic, I'll be one of the least. But like I could be the top guy for moving to this subdivision, right? And so like, don't think that you need every video to get 10,000, 120, whatever, hundreds of thousands of views to be successful. If you had 1,000 people that watched your video, or 100 people that watched your video, but it was a much more niche video, that's quality. Like, we're doing this for lead gen, right? Not for vanity numbers. Like, I don't even have my monetization on my YouTube channel, other than that Shaq video I did got monetized, not because of me, but because I used someone else's music. But I would say that focus on those long tail keywords first before you try to go for those big monster keywords. That's a good tip.
Yeah, and I think what you just said is such an important thing to end on, that this is not for vanity, it's for lead gen, it's for results, right? And if you're, 35% of your business is coming from this, and it supports so many other facets of your business, your database, agent to agent referral. And so Ken, first off, thank you, because, you just invested half an hour of your life into all of this, and I know we're all better for it. And if someone has a referral and would like to send that to you, what's the best way for us to do that, so that everybody can say thank you for being here? What would be the best way to send you a referral?
Email is going to be best. So ken@pozekgroup.com. It's POZEK group.com would be awesome.
Okay, perfect. Well, and then as always, everyone, we will take what Ken shared with us here, and we will get this into a recap email and up on Maps Coach Jordan within the next 48 hours. And join us next week. We'll be on at 2:00 Central Standard Time talking about internet lead generation and conversion. So thank you, Ken, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thanks, bud.
Hi there, and thank you for watching What I Crush. And if you're enjoying what we're putting down, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget the bell button, and check us out at whaticrush.com. We'll see you on our next episode.